What up, what up? Welcome into another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, we always start the show by being transparent. And yesterday ended up being a terrible day for myself. The Pelicans' first half was a loser. Wish it was the first quarter, not the first half. And then the Warriors, just an absolute fail. That's my big bet for yesterday. So have some ground to make up here this morning. Veno has been a little bit since we talked. How has NBA been treating you? And what did you think of those games yesterday?
Well, you know what? We didn't even talk yesterday, Skee, and we were on pretty much the same sides. I had New Orleans, and they did not get there, and then I had Golden State, and they did not get there. So I had the wrong home, the wrong road. It worked opposite. So yeah, a little ground to make up, but the NBA still has been fantastic, especially where totals are concerned. 75% totals over the course of the last 3 weeks. So ground to make up, but I'm involved in both of these today. So hopefully we get them right today, and it doesn't turn out like yesterday.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. We got to do a lot better than yesterday. Is that what we're looking at there, right, Mr. Vino?
That's, you know what? Navy blue is exactly what you're looking at. Yep.
So Boofer's spreadsheet actually pays off for once. Boofer looks like he can get some free lunch today. So you know how to contact me, Boofer. Just hit me up. Let me know where to send, and we'll make sure you eat something good today. Appreciate all you guys and your guesses for the shirt color for today. Del Toledo says, "You ever heard of daylight savings time? We're on ski hot pockets time." Hey, hot pocket one time.
Last week I was on it was cheese omelet. Now it's hot pockets again.
Boofer says Skee takes vacation every week, Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. through 10:45 a.m. That's all right. I'll take it. I was extremely late today, so got to do better in that regard. ATMG says, "What happens first? Skee shows up or Clay hits a shot?" Yeah, Clay was definitely clank again yesterday. I'll tell you this, Rob. It was interesting for me. Like I would think you would put Ingram out there, especially when Zion, gets hurt. To see Ingram not out there was kind of surprising for me. Any thoughts on that?
You know what? Same thought ran through my head and probably everybody else's, Skee. You just wonder if Ingram, he was just coming back from injury and maybe something was wrong there. I mean, they didn't say anything about that, but there's no common sense reason why not to have Brandon Ingram in the game at that point in time in that close of a game. New Orleans came all the way back to tie it. So I don't know the answer. Willie Green knows the answer, and I don't have a direct line to Willie Green. So all guesswork on my part.
This Warriors team, UCapper says Clay is done. Raven Ron says his name is Clank. It might be time for the Warriors to let that dynasty team go. You think that's where they're at?
That could be. There's been a lot of discussion of it, right? Started last night during the game towards the end, and now it continues on to today. National media taking over with what to do. Get rid of Clay, get rid of Draymond, do something. I'll say this, Skee, watching last night as Klay Thompson continued to miss shots, I was asking Steve Kerr to take him out of the game not because he was missing shots, but because he looked so frustrated and down. The expression on his face didn't look good. Like he was just so PO'd that he couldn't make one. And at that point in time, you got to get a player. If it's between the ears like that, you have to get him out of the game and give him a chance to think. But Steve Kerr didn't. Rough night, very rough night, bad time to have a rough night for sure because they depend on him.
Absolutely. Shout out to Boofer too. He says, check your DM real quick. He won with the shirt color. He says, give it out as memberships. So we'll see what we can do with that a little bit later in today's show. Appreciate that, Boofer. And Ronald says, everyone was worried about the Lakers tanking to avoid Nuggets. Pelicans did it instead. I mean, maybe. I guess you can look at it like that. The Lakers definitely did care. And did see this. Zion is out. So not looking good for those Pelicans as of right now. But those are not the two games, or not part of the two games that we have to talk about today. So let's get to some actionable info as Mr. Teddy Cover says it. 549, 550. Atlanta and Chicago Bulls opened up Bulls -3. Hasn't really moved. The total, that is on the move. It's gone 3 points towards the over, looking at 222 and a half. And as far as injuries are concerned, Jalen Johnson out, Okongwu out for this Atlanta Hawks team. For the Bulls, looks like both Susumu and Bennett a game time decision. Vino, feel like you come on here and talked about I for either the Bulls or the Hawks. It's one of these teams, and you were liking their overs. I have a feeling you agree with the market in this one.
I do. And they gave us a couple of days to get involved early when the number was lower, about 220. I thought there were multiple ways to get involved with the overs, Skee. I think for me, to my liking, the best in the end wound up being the Hawks team total over. But I couldn't argue a first half over. I couldn't really argue a full game over, although you're losing ground where the price tag is concerned now as people start to get involved on game day. But I'll defend the Atlanta team total over like this. We know that their depth and their rotation gets extended now a little bit since Trey is back for 3 games. And when Trey came back, you worry about what Quinn Snyder had been talking about for the last couple of weeks, which was our ball sharing on offense is fantastic. And even though Atlanta is a team based on offense, he thought their offense was even better. And I can't say that I argue him on that. But Trey came back. He's played 3 games. He's had 30 assists. And the team scored 114 and 115 in 2 out of those 3. Their pace continues to be really fast. I think I saw number 9 over the last 15 games. And the Bulls, surprisingly enough, they're like 18, which is middle of the road, not the bottom of the barrel type of pace that I think normally gets associated with Chicago. So you're likely to see a lot of quick tempo in this game. I think the perception of Chicago's defense is false, right? Because I think most people would think they're a pretty good defensive team. They're really not. Defense ranks 20th over the last 15 games, so that's vulnerable. For the Bulls, just to put some numbers to it, they've given up 109, which is Atlanta's team total now. I'll say this just for full transparency. I bet this game at 108.5, Atlanta team total over. It's at 109 now, maybe even 109.5. I didn't check this morning. But the Bulls have allowed 109 or better in 17 of their last 25, which is 68% of the time they give up this many points. So again, they're not the defensive team that maybe some people think they are. They played 3 times this year, including one just 16 days ago without Trae Young. Hawks put up 113, 113, and 126 in the 3 games against the Bulls this season. I don't think the offensive continuity was hurt any with Young coming back, and now it's his 4th game back. So figure that, that's where they're going to try and win this game, right? They don't try to win anything on defense. I think there's enough advantages here to play the Atlanta team total over the price, as well as, again, if people like other forms of over, can't say that I disagree.
Yeah, I would try to make the argument that we should include both sides here. Just looking at how they've been playing lately, Hawks have actually been the second worst defense last 5 games. Bulls also bottom 10, but the offensive rating for the Bulls number 8. So I think they'll also be able to put the ball in the basket. The pace for the Bulls, I don't like. I love the pace for the Hawks. Maybe they can speed the Bulls up, but I just think Hawks defense has been bad enough that we should potentially include Chicago too. So overs, some way, shape, or form are the way we're liking here. What do you think about this, Rob? Hawks, one of those teams that Trae Young is not going to be there next year, and I feel like how do I say? Chicago will play a little bit more together for each other than Atlanta will. So if I feel like that, I lean more towards the Chicago side than Atlanta. I think that side just doesn't really care much about a postseason run. What do you think about that?
You know what? That could be. It's kind of like and this is the elimination game, right? The loser goes home. This is not one where you get the second chance like you will in Philly, Miami. So I don't know. The way Trey always talked about playoffs, and I don't think DeJounte Murray came here to always get booted. There's no chance that they advance beyond this. But Atlanta has probably played. I mean, let's put the Indiana game aside, 157 to 115, whatever that was on Sunday. Nobody really cared. I feel like DeJounte Murray didn't come here to lose this type of game either. So I think they'll both be focused. One thing about Chicago, real quick, Skee, is that Billy Donovan spent a lot of time campaigning for the Kentucky job the last, 7 days or so prior to when Kentucky actually made their hire of Mark Pope. So maybe his head wasn't in it for a minute, but I think they'll both be there. DeRozan always comes to play. I think Atlanta will come to play. Chicago might be the deeper team with quality in the end, and they have the home floors. So I didn't even check their home record, Skee, because I wasn't involved inside. But maybe Chicago's home floor makes a little bit of a difference here, because Atlanta, for the most part, hasn't been a good road team for a few years now, to tell you the truth. Always at home with Atlanta, never on the road.
Very true. And also, just top of my head, not looking at any numbers, but Chicago has been one of those teams that pretty good defending the guard position. So we'll see how that one shakes out. If we're putting our money on something though, it's more towards the overs. And we'll move on over to the next game, last game of the night. Heat and 76ers opened up Sixers minus 4.5. Looks like 5. And the total hasn't moved much either. Looks like 208. As far as who's available, Terry Rozier is out. Duncan Robinson is game time decision, but he's probable. Embiid, truly questionable, along with KJ Martin. They'll be without Melton and Covington. When I think about these two teams here, I can't help but think about the Heat seemingly every year look mediocre in the regular season. They get to this play-in or playoff, and they just hit a switch and turn it on. So I really initially want to try to get there with the Heat. I trust Spoelstra. I trust playoff Jimmy, a lot of other guys who have been there before. But I do believe the Sixers have the best player on the court. Here's what I'll say. The thing that worries me most with the Sixers is they're going to wear out. The longer they go in the playoffs, Embiid has a history of being hurt, but just in a one game off, I think they can be okay. So that makes me think that Sixers do have a chance to win this one, and maybe I just take the Heat in the next game. Kind of back and forth for me, Rob. How do you view Heat and Sixers?
Well, I was with you. I wanted to find a way to play the Heat, and I landed on Heat team total, which is, anybody who's listened to me for the last 4 years at playoff time, Heat team total usually comes into play where my bets are concerned. And it's always because I feel like they're undervalued, Skee. The 101.5 tonight just seemed too low to me for Miami in this game. And I know the first thing that always gets pointed at, and it's no different. Again, it's no different the last 4 years. First thing that will always get pointed at is the pace. Oh, the pace is too slow. There's no way this game could be bet over in any way, shape, or form. But I would say that despite the way these two teams play, pedestrian-like, they played 4 times this year: 214, 213, 232, 189. So there was one clunker in there as far as under is concerned. The rest have exceeded tonight's total. And for Miami, it's 4 of the last 5 against Philly, where they've scored more than 101.5. So, if you're looking for 102, 80% of the time is a pretty good number for me. I thought that the asking price was in the right range. Now, get into the fundamentals of it. No Terry Rozier, and it's crazy because they got Terry Rozier just for moments like this, and now he's unavailable because of the neck. However, I went and did a little checking, and they've played 8 games since they got Terry Rozier where they didn't have him in the lineup. And they're 7-1 over tonight's team total in those 8 games. In those 8 games, they've scored 106 or better in all 7 of those. And their average is 113.9. So the Heat are a funny team, right, Skee? It's almost like they load manage the entire year. They're always hurt. 2 or 3 guys are always out. And then it comes playoff time, and just about everybody's back. And in this case, the shooters are all back, right? Hero's back, Robinson's back, the whole crew. So it's hard to take their season-long statistics with more than a grain of salt. But I think in this matchup, when you go through the players, Philly's real small in the backcourt with Maxey and Lowry playing as starters against Hero and Caleb Martin. I think there's a rebounding edge for the Heat, every other position except Embiid, which will help. I think the three-point shooting is there for the Heat. I think Jimmy Butler always comes through with points in games like this. And I also think the fact that Bam, and I think we got this on this show from a lot of people in the chat, that were playing Bam Adebayo props over where his three-point makes were concerned. He's developed a little bit of a three-point game, which helps as well. Maybe draw Joel away from the hoop a little bit. For me, I just thought that this number was too low. And the only time in the last 5 games where they didn't get to 102 against the Sixers was this year when they didn't have 3 of tonight's starters in the lineup. In that game, Jimmy Butler didn't play. Tyler Hero didn't play. Nikola Jovic didn't play. I'm going to ride with Miami team total over 101.5. I used to have a saying, if they can get to 106, they're good. Here, they only need to get to 102. So that's where I'm at. I trust them in these types of situations.
They have been making it there a lot lately. Looking at how they've been both teams been playing lately, Sixers are the second best defensive rated team. Heat are 6th. Sixers have been playing up tempo, top 10. Heat are bottom 5 in pace, and both defenses better than the offenses. This one makes me nervous, Rob. So, gun to your head, if you had to pick, you like Miami team total. Would you be taking Miami to cover as well?
I probably would. I think the Sixers are the better overall team, but we've seen this too many times, Skee, right, with Miami. Somehow they're always there in the end. So I would probably take 5. And then we'll see what happens from there. But I just think that the odds makers are, again, my team total is based way more on what I perceive to be value in that total. I just think that they're better than 101.5. All we have to do is scrape by with 102. Andy Lang, I did a Wager Talk show this morning with Andy Lang, who pointed out that Philly, as you just said, number 2 defensive team over the last, I don't know how many games, 5, 10, 15. But he ran through the list of opponents and didn't seem to think that the opponents were worthy. However, I think some of those opponents are pretty good offensive teams. So the Philly stuff, I don't know. Listen, good defense in the NBA is holding somebody to 105, and 105 gets me paid. So I'll go with that.
Fair enough. Link says full game over. That'll be a way that I guess we're leaning here in this one. These games feel a little bit tough to me, Rob. I can't lie, but you found some ways to make money with them, and kind of talking me into one play here. So, on that note, we got through every game. It is about time to move over to the best bet segment. Before I do that, let's get to some of these memberships. Let's see if I can give some out. So Boofer, he wanted to give people memberships with his winnings. Let's see here. So should be coming out in the chat. Here comes 5. Boom. And it doesn't show me. Oh, there we go. So Dante Pearson, Raven Ron, Jay Gill, Chris Nieto, and XYL all gifted memberships here. And we'll do 5 more. How about that? We'll do 5 more because I'll tell you why. But we're gonna give 5 more. I'll tell you why in a second. Let's see who else can become a member right now. Eddie Cash, Main A, Markel, First Class Agency, and Jamrock Kicks. So you guys who just were gifted memberships, make sure you go and I'll post a link again for the Discord so you guys can join us. A lot of people in there making money all day long. And yeah, we'll rock out like we always do. So happy I could figure that out. Last time I couldn't figure out how to gift these memberships. But on that note, Rob, let's move over to the best bet segment. And I'll ask you if there's anything you would like to promote. And also, maybe you like one of these a little bit more than the rest.
All right, so for promotion, let's go straight to wagertalk.com. Once again, guys, anybody who's watching that hasn't heard me say this 1,000 times, if you're not currently a member over at wagertalk.com, just go ahead and drop your email address, get instant free access to all the video and written content that they supply over there each and every day. I did an NBA show with them this morning. I know they did an NHL show, MLB probably going on now. So if you have betting tastes other than the NBA, you can certainly find analysis and selections over there for free on video and written wise at wagertalk.com. If you are interested in selection packages that we release to clients, you can always find mine on my homepage at wagertalk.com. For purposes of the show, I'll go with the game I bet first out of these two, Skee, and that was the Atlanta Hawks team total over. Now, granted, I got a better number, 108.5, but I still think 109.5 is more than doable here for the Hawks. Pointed out all the reasons why I think they can get to 110 or better. And to your point, you know what? It probably should consider the other side as well. So as I said in the beginning, I'm not going to argue anybody off a full total, first half total, whatever total. But my preference, best bet for this show is Atlanta Hawks team total over 109, 109.5. Shop for best number, guys, because there's differences out there.
Good stuff from Mr. Rob Veno. And for myself, the reason I said earlier, we'll send those extra gifts out because I don't have a best bet yet, and I don't want to force one and give you guys a loser here. So I am going to talk about these games once again with Kyle and Chris. I'm going to think about what Rob Veno and I talked about for this show. And if I make a decision, obviously you'll get my plays on Wager Talk. But today I will share if I make a decision with my members. So make sure you guys look out for that. And what Rob said, as far as the profiles for Wager Talk, both links are in the description to this video. So Veno, always appreciate you coming on and talking these games out with us, sharing the good information. Chat, you know, we appreciate you guys. Here goes Rob Veno here. He says, thanks for watching. The chat is the best. I agree. Absolute best chat in the game. Show is absolutely nothing without you guys. So always want to let you know you're appreciated. Best of luck if you tell. Good luck, everybody, on all your action. And I'll catch you guys again tomorrow.